Hail to the Chief. This right here is a very nice, full flavored little sipper of a cocktail. It's called a Taoiseach. Let me show you how to make it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, today I'm making a Taoiseach cocktail. And I got the idea for this cocktail when I reviewed this whiskey right here. This is one of the new whiskeys from the Boann Distillery. If you haven't seen the review of this, I'll put a link to that up there. Myself and my wife Rose reviewed this whiskey earlier on this week. It's a very nice whiskey. It's a single pot still whiskey, so it's the style of whiskey that's unique to Ireland, made of malted and unmalted barley, so it's nice and sweet and spicy. But this one here was aged in Oloroso sherry casks and PX or Pedro Jimenez sherry casks, so it's got a nice bit of like flavor and fruity character coming through it, and it also comes in at 47% ABV, so there's a nice bit of weight to it. Now, this cocktail, I didn't invent it. It was actually invented by Aaron Wall at the Homeboy Bar, and he originally, in his original recipe, he used Redbreast 12, which is another Irish single pot still whiskey, which has some sherry character to it. So I think this one here works really well in that cocktail. Now, the original recipe, the Taoiseach, is actually a riff on like an El Presidente, which is a rum cask or rum cocktail, sorry. But this here uses Irish whiskey, so it uses the name Taoiseach, which is the kind of the Irish prime minister. If you translate the word literally, it means like chieftain or the chief, the chieftain. And so that's what the Taoiseach is. So it's just kind of the El Presidente, or the ruler, the leader of Ireland. For the other ingredients, really quickly, we've got this here is red vermouth. You can use whatever vermouth you like. I like here the Martini Rosso Sweet Red Vermouth. Has a little bit of triple sec, some Grenadine Syrup, and a little bit of Angostura orange and regular old Angostura bitters, just to round things out and make the cocktail nice and balanced. But I think that's enough time talking about it. I think we're going to make the cocktail. So right here, we're going to get our mixing glass and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out the rest of our ingredients. Starting off with our whiskey. Into here, going to go in with 45ml. Ooh, has a really nice like sherry character to it. So we're going to go in with 45ml or an ounce and a half of our single pot still Irish whiskey. If you can't get this, you could use any kind of single pot still whiskey you like the original recipe, like I said, has Redbreast 12 in it. So if you can't find this one, you could use Redbreast 12. Next in, we're going to go in with our sweet red vermouth. We're going to go in with 10ml of our vermouth. So we're not going to overpower the cocktail, just going to give it a nice little bit of balance, because we're also going to go in with our triple sec, and we're going to go in with, again, 10ml of our triple sec into there, which is going to give us some orange notes and also a little bit of sweetness to help just pair back that spicy, fruity character of the whiskey. Lastly, we're going to go in with our Grenadine Syrup. This is just a simple store-bought Grenadine Syrup, but you can make your own whatever way you like it. This is just a store-bought one that I put into a nice little glass bottle. So we're going to go in with just 5ml of our Grenadine Syrup, because this is going to be quite sweet and it's going to give us quite an interesting kind of colour to it as well. Lastly, we're going to go in with our Angostura bitters and our orange bitters, just one dash of each. And I always think of these as like your salt and your pepper. They add a lot of flavour and a lot of balance and just kind of help make a cocktail that little bit better. So now we're going to just stir this cocktail down for about 30 seconds, because we're not going to be serving it on ice, so we've got to make sure it's really nice and cold. It's about 30-35 seconds of stirring. Okay, I think this is nicely chilled now. So we're going to wait to strain it out into a nice chilled Nick and Nora glass. So we're going to pop our Hawthorne strainer up top, and we're going to just pour it out. Nice and simple, just into there. Just like that. But it's not fully finished yet, because we are going to go in with a little garnish. I've got a little orange twist here. I'm just going to pop that over the edge, just like that. And that right there is how I make a Taoiseach cocktail. Now, real quick, before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews, like the review of that new whiskey from Boann every Wednesday, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday. So if you want to see more like this, make sure you hit subscribe. But right now, let's taste this cocktail. It's quite nice. Like, it's almost like reminiscent of like those cocktails like a Manhattan, you know, the whiskey, bitters, vermouth, gives you that flavor, but the kind of the Grenadine Syrup adds a bit of fruitiness. It definitely adds quite an interesting color to it, but also the bit of triple sec adds a little bit of like I don't know, like richness and roundness to it, helping with that grenadine, adding a bit more sweetness than you'd normally get in like a Manhattan cocktail. The whiskey itself, very nice, almost like syrupy sweet with all that sherry cask influence there. Has a really nice bit of flavour to it. Yeah, I don't think you'd be drinking a lot of this in one go. It is a nice little sipper of a cocktail. It's one that you kind of go to, you have a bit of a sip of it, you enjoy it, because it has a lot of flavour. Like, you really do want to enjoy it. It's not as dry as something like a Negroni. It's not as sweet as something like an Old Fashioned. It just has a nice bit of flavour that's quite different to other cocktails I've had, but it's very nice and very balanced. Like, it's one of those ones you do want to sit and savor and sip it. So I'm going to keep on sipping this one. Like I said, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button to see more cocktail recipes. But right now, I'm going to sip it, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.